My name's Ava Moore, 26, a broke screenwriter in New York who can't catch a break. I've written enough scripts to fill 3 trash can stands. I was this close to packing it up and moving back to grow potatoes when a lawyer in a fancy suit showed up.
Miss Moore, you've been selected, Shoda. Lucas Rain, CEO of Rain Group. He was in a car accident 3 years ago. He's in a veg-hair state. His family needs someone, a wife in name only, to secure the inheritance. 2 years. Compensation, $10 million.
I stared at that number and counted the zeros twice. What's your selection criteria?
Broke, discreet, and no social life. Also, your credit history shows you sold your only valuable violin to pay off your ex-boyfriend's debt. That tells us you're loyal and easily motivated by money.
Pretty accurate summary. 3 days later, I dragged my suitcase into the Rain family's private estate on Long Island.
Lucas Rain's bedroom was on the second floor facing east with a view of an inaccurately manicured lawn. He lay in bed, still as a sculpture. Blonde hair, a jawline sharp enough to cut glass. Even his condition, he was distractingly handsome.
Hey, I'm Ava, your contract wife. I know you can't hear me, but the doctors say talking helps, so from now on I'll be here every day to chat. Let's start with intro. I'm a failed screenwriter. Specialty romance movies nobody watches. You're a billionaire, 7 accretions under your belt. They call you the golden boy on Wall Street. You sound way more impressive than me. $10 million, 2 years. When you wake up or when time's up, we go our separate ways. Birds chirped outside. Sunlight fell across his eyelashes, casting tiny shadows. That was the first time I saw Lucas Rain. I had no idea then that this deal would change everything. The estate had only 4 permanent residents, me, a housekeeper named Martha, a cook, and 3 rotating nurses. Martha was a British woman in her 60s, not much of a talker, but she had this look that said, "You won't last a week." First morning, I came down for breakfast and Martha was standing at the dining room entrance with a schedule hand.
Miss Moore, Mr. Rain's daily care routine is as follows. Repositioning at 7, sponge bath feed at 9, news reading at 10:30, limb massage at 2, repositioning again at 4, and evening reading or music. You're required participation.
All of it.
All of it?
I'm his wife. I should be doing these. She studied me for a few seconds, then handed me the schedule.
Very well. 8 o'clock. Upstairs.
At 8 sharp, I walked into Luke's room with a pail of warm water and a towel. My hand trembled slightly when I touched his skin. Warm, alive, like any ordinary person asleep. Sorry, my hands are a little cold. If you're uncomfortable, just twitch or something. These hands, they must have signed a lot of contracts. I froze. But when I looked again, nothing, probably just my eyes playing tricks. After I finished, I sat in the chair beside him and opened my phone to read the news. Top story. Fed announced rate hikes. Second, Rain Group stock. Of course, no reaction. I sighed, sank back into my chair, and stared out the window in a dane. This was going to be a long 2 years. A week passed. I gradually got used to life at the estate. Every morning, up at 7, wash him at 8, feed him at 9, read 10:30. Massage at 2, read aloud in the evening. I read him The Old Man and See, The Great Gets, A Guide on Growing Tomatoes, and my own scripts, the ones nobody wanted, full of cliché romance plots. Reading my own work felt a little embarrassing. But then I figured, he can't hear me anyway. One evening, I was reading a scene where the Jared twins confess her love to the hero, and I stopped mid-sentence to look at Lucas's face. His eyelashes caught the sunset, turning gold. Thin and still. I leaned closer. His breathing was steady, his chest rising failing faintly. On impulse, I reached out and touched his hand. Will you ever wake up? The wind outside was my only answer. Forget it. If you actually woke up, the first thing you'd do is kick me out. A $10 million contract wife, that's not exactly good for your image. Good night, Lucas. See you tomorrow. At the door, I looked back. Moonlight slipped through the gap in the curtains, falling across his face, seeing him in silver. He lay there, still as ever, a man forgotten by time. I closed the door, leaned against the hallway wall, and let out a deep breath. $10 million. 2 years. I can do this.
Lucas Rain had a sworn enemy in the industry. Simon Blake.
He was Rain Group's former partner. After Lucas's accident 3 years ago, he left in a hurry, started his own company, and became a direct competitor.
Rumor had it that on the day of Lucas's accident, he was on his way to sign a critical deal, and his route happened to overlap with Simon Blake's. No proof. But the Rain family had always suspected him.
Occasionally, members of the Rain family would visit the estate. Luca's mother, Mrs. Rain, came every Wednesday afternoon for an hour.
She was a Chanel suit, impeccably made-up woman. She never looked at Lucas for long, just stood at the door for a moment, then went downstairs for tea. She didn't talk much to me either, just asked before leaving.
Any response today?
No. She'd nod and leave. Her back was always straight, but I noticed. When she got in the car, her hand paused on the door. It was trembling. On the third weekday, after Mrs. Rain left, I went back to Lucas's room. He was still lying there. Everything was the same. I pulled up a chair, took out my phone, and started reading the afternoon news. Rain Group's Q3 earnings are out, profits down 12%, market reaction is lukewarm. Analysts say if the group can't find a new strategic direction 6 months, the stock could drop further. Hey, you listening? Your company's going under. No reaction. I leaned in close and lowered my voice. Your nemesis Simon Blake did a Finance Channel interview today. He said Rain Group lacks leadership. He meant you. Can't you hear that? He's walking all over you. Wake up. You can't just lie here forever. His fingers, they seemed to curl ever so slightly. I froze. I looked down at his hand, still resting on the sheet, fingers spread out like nothing happened. I'm definitely hallucinating. I let go of his wrist and leaned back. Too many scripts lately. But that night, I tossed and turned. I grabbed my phone and searched. Can coma patients move their fingers? What do slight movements mean? The results said that sometimes muscle spasms can cause finger movement. Doesn't necessarily mean consciousness is recurring. Stop overthinking, Ava. You're just a contract wife. Don't act like you're the main character. A month passed. I started to figure out Lucas's personality. Even though he couldn't speak, he had certain patterns. The first time I saw his brow crink, I nearly jumped. Later the nurse told me it was just a natural facial reflex. And when I played classical music, his breathing got deeper and steadier. I started playing an hour of cello music for him every evening. I've always loved the cello. When I studied violin, I could never get that deep, rich sound. After I sold my violin, the cello became this fantasy. One day, after the music ended, I sat by the bed and talked to him. You know why I learned violin? Because my mom said girls who play instruments marry well I sold the violin and never got married. Though I guess I am married now. Married to a vegetable. A $10 million vegetable. If only you could smile. Even if it's to make fun of me.
He didn't smile, but the corner of his mouth seemed to twitch, just a little.
I stared at that corner of his mouth for 10 seconds. In the end, I told myself it was just a trick of the light. I'm losing it. Stay with a coma patient long enough and you start seeing smiles that aren't there. Should I take a day off and get some air? I turned back to look at him. He lay still, his mouth back to normal. Forget it. Nowhere to go anyway. I'll keep you company. The estate's cook was Giovanni, an Italian who made incredible food. But the estate was huge. Most days it was just me, Martha, and Johnny at the table, like eating in a cathedral. I started bringing a notebook to meals, jotting down Rain Group news or new script ideas, kept me busy.
Miss Moore, when you talk to Mr. Rain every day, does he react at all?
No.
Do you want him to?
I stopped mid-fork. Martha looked at me. Not probing, just curious. I don't know, if he wakes up, my life gets complicated. If he doesn't, I take the money and leave. Neither sounds too bad.
Then why do you read to him for so long? The nurses say you read more attentively than they do.
Maybe. I think he can hear me. Martha nodded and didn't push. But I noticed the corner of her mouth curl up, just a little. That afternoon, I was reading by Luca's bed when I suddenly stopped. Martha asked why I read so seriously. I said, I think you can hear me. If you can really hear me, just move. His hand didn't move. I looked down at our fingers intertwined. His fingers were long and warm. Normal temperature, but he was like someone pressed pause on. Okay, if you can't move, that's fine. I just wanted to talk to you. That night, back in my room, lying in bed, his face kept replaying in my mind. Ava, don't be stupid. He's the employer, you're the employee. One night, I drank. Just a random bottle from the estate. Just a random bottle of red from the estate cellar. I couldn't read the Vinci, but it went down warm. I poured half a glass into Lucas's room and sat by his bed. I don't have any news to read tonight. Rain Group stock went up a little today, probably because the market forgot you're still lying here. I looked at his face. His lashes in the moonlight were still the same, like two quiet fans. I reached out and touched his hand. His skin was still warm. You know? My voice a little slurred. I once wrote a script where the Yerwit also married a man who couldn't move, but he wasn't in a coma, he was a paralyzed prince. She took care of him every day, talked to him, and then one day he suddenly stood up and spun her around. That script got rejected. The editor said too cliché. Look at me now. I actually married a man who can't move and you can't even stand up and spin me around. I'm telling you, Lucas Rain, if you don't wake up soon, I'm selling your company. Every last piece of it. Not a dime left for you. I sat back up, about to finish the last sip. Then I looked down at his hand. His fingers, middle and ring, curled inward, gently, almost impossibly slow. I nearly dropped my glass. I stared at that hand, breath caught in my throat. A full 10 seconds. Then his fingers moved again. More obvious this time. Middle finger straightening, then curling back. Lucas? Are you moving? My answer came from beneath his closed lids, the faint movement of his eyeballs. I bolted out of the room, my slippers slapping against the floor. I ran downstairs. Martha was in the kitchen cleaning. She froze mid-wipe when she saw me gasping at the door. He moved.
What?
Lucas. His fingers. They moved. Twice. I saw it. Martha's expression changed. She didn't say you're drunk or you're seeing things like I expected.
Please send the private physician immediately.
The Rain family's personal physician, an elderly man with silver hair.
There is indeed a slight response. The first in 3 years. Miss Moore, what did you do?
I talk to him every day, read the news, play music. Tonight, I had a little wine, leaned close, and said...
Said what?
Said, if he didn't wake up, I'd sell his company.
Stimulation matters, Ivor. Keep it up.
Miss Moore, you just said something that could save a life.
What I said was, I'll sell your company.
Whatever it was, it worked.
That night, I didn't go back to my room. I sat in the chair by Lucas's bed, just sat there, watching his hand. Moonlight filtered through the curtains. His fingers rested quietly on the blanket, like little sleeping animals. Lucas, you can hear me, can't you? His breathing was steady, but in one moment, his index finger tapped the sheet. Once, twice, like an answer. I covered my mouth, and tears came out of nowhere. My name's Ava Moore, 26, a broke screenwriter in New York who can't catch a break. The next morning, Lucas opened his eyes. I walked in with a glass of warm water and saw his eyelids moving. I stood at the door like an idiot, frozen. Then his lashes fluttered and slowly lifted, revealing gray-blue eyes like a winter lake, cool and veiled with mist.
You are...
Ava Moore, your wife.
How long was I out?
3 years.
Rain Group.
Still there, but stock's taken a hit and Simon Blake is circling.
You.
What about me?
What you said.
Which part?
Selling my company.
You heard that?
Heard it. So I woke up. You wouldn't dare. That's my bride price to you.
The doctor came back, ran a full exam, and announced. Lucas Rain's consciousness had returned. He still needed muscle rehab and speech therapy, but he was awake.
News sped fast. Within 3 days, the estate driveway was packed with cars, Rain Group executives, journalists, business partners, and Mrs. Rain.
You're awake.
Mom, I'm back.
Ava Moore, what did you do?
I just talk to him every day.
You woke him up. Thank you. That one word weighed more than any compliment.
That night, it was just the two of us in the estate. Lucas leaned against the headboard, a blanket over his legs. He was still weak, but those gray-blue eyes had their sharpness back. He looked at me standing by the door, like a cat unsure whether to come in.
Come in.
Want some water?
No, sit closer. You said you're my wife.
Contract wife, 2 years, 10 million. Your lawyer set it up.
Contract. 3 years. I missed a lot.
The company...
Tomorrow. Too much noise today. Read some to me.
Read what?
Anything. The stuff you used to read. A new script works too.
You remember what I read?
I remember. You said you wrote a story. The story was terrible, but you read it with a lot of heart.
I opened my mouth, but nothing came out. He really had been listening. From day one. Lucas recovered faster than the doctors expected. By week 2, he was getting around the estate in a wheeltail. By week 3, he was asking for company files. By week 4, he tried to stand for the first time. You need to lose weight.
3 years without moving muscle, Tashin. Too heavy for you?
Yeah, enough minute and I'm a goner. You okay?
Yeah. Okay, that's enough for today. You give me a sponge bath every day.
That's in the contract.
You're gentle.
What, you want me to be rough? So you can wake up and sue me for abuse?
Thank you.
Don't thank me. I'm just doing my job.
Then why are you crying?
The light's too bright.
It's tea time. Push me out to the garden.
I pushed his wheelchair out. Autumn wind swept through the hallway. I looked down at the top of his head, his blonde hair shifting in the breeze. In that moment, I thought, maybe this contract marriage wasn't going to be just 2 years after all. News of Lucas's recovery sent shockwaves through the business world. Rain Group stock rebounded 15% within a week. And Simon Blake, the rival who'd left and started his own company, began making public overtures, saying on a financial channel, "Glad to see my old partner recovering. Hope he returns to leadership soon."
Old partner. He calls that a take old for old partner.
Why did he leave back then?
He found out looking into some of his accounting, so he bolted early. The day I crashed, I was on my way to see him to lay out the evidence. Then I ended up in bed. Coincidence, you think?
You think he did it?
I don't have proof, but I remember him.
That afternoon, while organizing his files in the study, I came across the last document he'd worked on before the crash, an investigative report on Simon's suspected embezzlement. It wasn't finished. The last page ended with 2 words, "to be continued." I closed the file, thought for a moment, then pulled out my phone and searched. Simon Blake Rain Group car accident. The results were clean. Too clean, like someone had swept them. I read your report.
And?
What did you find back then?
He moved funds to set up his own hedge fund. That money was supposed to be for Rain Group to acquire a key tech project. Cash flow broke, the project stalled, a competitor swooped in. Rain Group lost about 200 million.
You have evidence?
Partial transfer records, but not complete. The day of my accident, I was going to see him to get the rest, and then I woke up, lying in front of you.
You want to keep investigating?
Yeah, but with my body the way it is.
I'll help you.
Why would you help me?
Because you're awake, but my contract's still running. 2 years aren't up yet. Until then, I'm still your wife on paper. A wife helping her husband investigate. Makes sense, right?
Makes sense.
I started using my free time to organize the files from before Luca's accident. He gave me an encrypted hard drive with everything he had on Simon Blake. Transfer records, meeting audio, email copies. There was a lot of information, but it was fragmented, like a jigsaw puzzle someone had scrambled. I sat in the study late into the night, laptop open and a pile of printed files spread out in front of me. Lucas wheeled in with a glass of warm milk. He'd gotten a little more mobile lately.
What are you looking at?
Your communications log from 3 years ago. There's one, 3 days before the accident, where Simon sent you an email saying, "We can discuss the prog details in Thursday at 3, near your office." You replied, "Okay." Then you crashed.
I deleted that email.
But your IT back kept a copy. Simon probably didn't know you had it. He set up a meeting, and you crashed on the way. If that's a coincidence, it's awfully convenient.
3 p.m. that day. I was 15 minutes late. He was waiting at a cafe near my office. By the time I got there, he was already gone. His coffee receipt was still on the table.
He was waiting for you?
He claimed he waited 20 minutes, figured I'd stood him up and left. I crashed on my way to the cafe.
So someone knew you'd be on that road at that time.
Which is why I need evidence. Ava,
Yeah?
I'm grateful you're helping me look into this.
I told you, contract period, wife helps husband.
Not the contract. Something else.
I found a lead. 3 years ago, there was surveillance camera near Lucas's crash site. The footage was low red, but police records showed that within 30 seconds of Lucas' car passing, a dark sedan was lingering at that intersection. The plate's last digits were covered by leaves, but the first half matched a rental company. I called them. They said the records from 3 years ago had been purged. But I didn't stop there. I tracked down a former employee, a woman named Maria. She remembered the car. That car was rented by a man, in a hurry, paid cash. I thought it was odd because it wasn't a cheap car, but he didn't seem to care about the money.
Do you remember what he looked like?
Ordinary. Suit. Glasses. Walked with a slight limp. Simon's CFO, Malcolm Reed, he does with a limp. He resigned and went overseas not long after the crash. Do you have a photo of him? It's him.
3 years. Finally a name to the face.
What now?
Find him.
Tracking down Malcolm Reed wasn't easy. He'd gone to Switzerland after resigning, then to the Caymans, and finally, steadily, in the Bahamas. Like a man who knew exactly what he was running from. Through a friend who did private investigations, I found Malcolm's current address and contacts info. The problem was, we had no legal authority to compel him to come back and testify. I can go see him.
You're going to the Bahamas to see him? Do you have any idea how dangerous that could be?
He's just a CFO, not a hitman. Besides, if I go without Irain family connection, he won't be as guarded. I'm just a screenwriter who wants to help him write his memoir.
You're serious?
Dead serious.
I'm coming with you.
Your legs can't handle long trips yet.
Then I'll take a wheelchair.
If something happens to you, who's responsible?
You. Aren't you my wife?
I opened my mouth, but in the end, I didn't argue. In that moment, somewhere along the way, I'm treating contract wife as just a transaction. We flew to the Bahamas. Lucas in a wheelchair, me pushing him. We looked like a couple on vacation. We checked into a beachfront hotel in Naga, our room facing the turquoise sea.
If we weren't here to find someone, this place would be pretty nice.
Once your company stuff is handled, you can come back anytime.
Will you come with me?
We'll see. The next day, I found Malcolm Reed at the marina. He lived on a converted yacht, living a semi-reclusive life. I approached him as a freelance writer, chatted him a few times. He was wary at first, but when I mentioned I was writing about people who'd left the finance world, he eased up a bit. Do you know Lucas Rain?
No. Why are you asking?
Because I got a job to write his biography. I noticed that around the time of his accident 3 years ago, you resigned. Thought it was a coincidence.
I'm not doing any more interviews. Please leave.
I knew he was on guard. But I'd already gotten what I needed. That flash of pan on his face was enough to confirm he knew something. He'll run.
We need to get his statement before he does.
How?
Give him an offer he can't refuse. Make him see that telling the truth is safer than running forever.
Lucas had me hand-deliver a handwritten letter to Malcolm. It said just one thing. I'm Lucas Rain. I know what you did. I promise, if you testify, I won't pursue criminal charges. All I need is one name. Who told you to do it? The next day, Malcolm asked me to meet him at the marina. He looked haggard, dark circles under his eyes. He sat on a bench, hands clasped together like he was negotiating with himself.
He really won't come after me?
That's what he promised.
It was Simon Blake. He gave me money to rent that car, wait at that intersection. He told me Lucas would be on that road that afternoon and told me to cause a little distraction.
Cause a distraction? You mean...
I didn't mean to kill him, I just wanted him to have a minor accident, miss the meeting that day, but I never thought it would be that bad. I swear, I never meant for that.
Are you willing to come back and testify?
I will. What are you to him?
I'm his wife.
He's a lucky man.
I didn't answer. I turned and walked away from the dock. The sea breeze was warm against my face. When I got back to the hotel, Lucas was sitting on the balcony in his wheelchair, a book in hand. He saw me from a distance and smiled. Done.
Then let's go home.
Back in New York, Lucas compiled all the evidence into a full report and handed it over to the police handling his case. Malcolm Reed, accompanied by his lawyer, turned himself in and gave a full account of how Simon Blake had orchestrated the accident. Simon Blake was quickly taken into custody. The day the news broke, Rain Group stock actually went up. The market voted with its feet. Lucas Rain had won. But before Simon went to prison, he did one thing. Through his lawyer, he leaked a warning. He still had a secret file that could bring down Rain Group. If he went inside, that file would be made public within 6 months. That night, it was just the two of us in the estate. Martha had taken time off to visit family, and Giovanni the cook was off too. Lucas used his cane and cooked dinner in the kitchen. He pan-smudged steaks with the asparagus and mashed potatoes, a bit rushy but way more skilled than I'd expected. When did you learn to cook?
College. Lived alone, didn't want takeout every day. Was going to wait until you got back to sear it, but didn't want it to get cold. Try it.
3's in a coma and your muscle memory's still intact.
Some things you don't forget. A little too much salt.
Tastes perfect to me.
Ava, the contract has 1 year left.
Yeah.
If, when it ends, would you want to keep going?
Is this an extension?
Not the contract.
Then what is it?
It's me asking you, after the contract ends, would you be willing to stay?
I didn't give him an answer right away. That night after dinner, we sat together on the living room couch, neither of us speaking. The city outside slowly grew quiet, punctured by the occasional distant siren. I leaned against one end, he sat on the other, about a patch's distance between us.
You don't have to give me an answer today. I just wanted you to know.
Know what?
That to me, you're more than just a line on a contract. For 3 years, I couldn't hear anything, couldn't move, but my mind was awake. I could hear you talking, reading books, reading the news, reading your scripts. When you complained about company execs, your tone was so vivid. When you read your own scripts, you'd pause like you were wondering, is this line too cheesy? When you held my hand in the hospital room and said, if you don't wake up, I'll sell your company, I thought to myself, this person is pretty interesting. So, you were never just a contract wife to me. You're the one who walked me back from the dark.
Lucas, when I signed that contract, it was just for the money.
I know.
And now, it's still for the money.
Then when you renew, you can name your price.
Simon Blake's case entered the judicial process, but the threat of that secret file being made public in 6 months hung over us like a ticking clock. Lucas decided to go on the offensive. He started rooting out any moles Simon might have left inside Rain Group, people Simon had placed in senior positions while Lucas was unconscious. Any suspects?
3. HR director, deputy CFO, and one more. Senior VP of strategy, Vincent Harper.
Vinance? The guy who supported your proposal at the board meeting last week?
Yeah. If he's Simon's man, then his support is the most dangerous thing. He's trying to earn my trust.
We didn't have proof. Lucas decided not to make any moves publicly. Instead, he quietly pulled Vincent's communications record and internal file access logs from the past 3 years. Investigating Vincent turned out to be harder than expected. His records were spotless, suspiciously spotless. No unusual emails, no unauthorized access, no direct evidence linking him to Simon Blake.
Too clean. A man's worked at Rain Group for 15 years. There's no way he has zero mistakes or personal preferences on record. He deleted something.
Let me get close to him.
What?
I'm the CEO's wife and a new strategy consultant. If I go to him for business advice, he won't be as guarded. I can pick up clues from our conversations.
Too dangerous.
The danger isn't me getting close, the danger is us doing nothing and waiting for that file to drop. This was quiet for a long time. Finally, he nodded, but there was a sharp edge of caution in his eyes.
1. Every meeting has to be in a public area of the office. 2. I'll have someone remotely record everything. 3. He says anything that makes you uncomfortable, you leave. Immediately.
Yes, sir. He looked at me and smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. He was worried. I started having casual business consultations with Vincent Harper, in the company cafe, meeting rooms, hallways. He was the quintessential corporate executive, polished in speech, always polite and composed. But on our third conversation, I noticed something. He wore an old watch, and on the inside of the band were 2 engraved letters, SB. That's a unique watch.
Just an old thing, nothing special.
Twunner ifel liner sing pleetams and tater mace.
SB. Simon Blake's initials. He's been wearing a watch Simon gave him for 3 years, never changed it.
What does that tell us?
It means his loyalty to Simon runs deeper than we thought. And it also means Simon left a messenger inside Rain Group before he went to prison.
We suddenly realized Vincent wasn't just a mole. He was Simon's insurance policy on the outside. That secret file he'd threatened to release, it was likely in Vincent's hands. We decided to approach Vincent directly, but not as adversaries, as peacemakers. Lucas called Vincent into his office for a private meeting. I sat in the next room, listening through an earpiece.
I know you're Simon's man, and I know you have that file. "15 years ago, Mr. Rain, your father, pulled me up from a junior accountant into management. I owe the Rain family, not Simon Blake." "Then why did you help him?" "Because he told me that if he fell, Rain Group would get torn apart by competitors. He asked me to hold on to a file, said, in case something happens to me, this file will save Rain Group. I didn't know his plan back then. I still don't know what's in that file." "Vince, when my father promoted you, what did you promise him?" "I promised to always be loyal to Rain Group." "And what you're doing right now, is that loyalty to Rain Group?" "I'll hand over the file. I keep my position. No one finds out I ever helped Simon." "Deal."
I took off the earpiece, leaned back, and let out a long breath. The drive Vincent handed over contained a complete financial record, a detailed account of how Simon Blake had funneled money through shell companies during his time at Rain Group. The amount was even bigger than Lucas had originally found. $320 million. More importantly, it included Simon's offshore bank account details. If exposed, Simon wouldn't just face murder charges, he'd also face mass financial crime prosecution. His release in 6 months threat had just become his own death warrant. Lucas handed the evidence over to both the police and federal prosecutors. Simon Blake's sentence went from 12 years to potentially over 30. That night, Lucas stood at the study window looking out at the Manhattan skyline. I walked in and stood beside him. "It's over."
"It's over. Ava, without you, I'd still be lying in that bed, or Simon would have crushed me completely."
"You woke yourself up."
"I was woken up by you yelling at me."
This kiss was lighter than I'd imagined, like a leaf settling on water, not just disturbing a thing, yet sending ripples across the whole surface. Simon Blake's trial day arrived. Lucas testified as victim, his statement plain and brief, like he was telling a story that wasn't his own.
"The 3 years I lost came back because of one person. I'm not here to ask for more punishment. I just want closure."
A lengthy silence hung over the courtroom. The judge struck the gavel and adjourned the proceedings.
"It's over."
"It's over."
"Ava, I want to go somewhere."
"Where?"
"Central Park."
"Now?"
"Now."
We took a cab to Central Park. Late autumn, most of the plain leaves had fallen, crunching underfoot. He walked beside me, steady and sure, like a man who had finally returned from a long journey.
"Before the accident, I came here. I was on my way to meet Simon that afternoon, but I took a detour, wanted to sit here for a while. I sat right here, watched the lake for about 10 minutes. Then, I stood up and left. 15 minutes later, I crashed. Later, lying in that bed, I thought about that afternoon a lot. I remembered sitting here, watching the lake. Those 10 minutes were the quietest moment I'd had in a long time, and I thought, if only those 10 minutes could have been longer. Now, I can sit here until dark, because I'm not in a hurry.
Neither am I. We sat on that bench for ages. Neither of us brought up the contract, the past, or what lay ahead that day. We just sat there, like two people who finally didn't have to count every single minute anymore. Christmas was coming. The estate was draped in lights. Martha was baking gingerbread men in the kitchen, and Giovanni had set up a full Christmas tree in the center of the living room. Lucas put me in charge of the star on top.
Little more to the left? Now right. Yeah, right there, that's a spot.
Perfect?
Perfect.
Thanks.
No problem. That star's imported. Would have been a pain if you dropped it.
Lucas, how did you used to spend Christmas?
Working, never really heim Christmas before.
What about now?
Now I've got a wife, a tree, and a cup of mulled wine. Already the biggest improvement.
That night we sat by the Christmas tree, chatting about this and that. He told me stories from college. I shared my comedic failures as a screenwriter. Laughter echoed through the spacious living room, sounding clearer than usual.
Ava, I want to give you a gift.
What is it? He handed me a small box, dark blue velvet. Inside was a ring with a tiny inscription on the inside, beyond the contract. This?
It's not an engagement ring. It's a reminder that there's no contract between us anymore. If you're willing to stay, I want it to be for real. If you're not...
I will.
You didn't even let me finish.
Because I knew what you were going to say. It fit perfectly. When'd you measured?
While you were asleep. Did it on the sly.
You secretly measured my finger?
Mm-hmm. Used a piece of string while you were sleeping. Took me 3 tries to get it right.
Beyond the contract. Does this count as the third contract we've signed?
This one doesn't need a signature. It's renewed by action.
After the new year, Lucas officially returned to Rain Group headquarters. I came along as a strategy consultant, but our relationship was no longer something we had to hide. People at the company got used to seeing the CEO and his wife walk into meetings together. The office shifted from, "Are they actually married?" to, "What they bring for lunch today?" One day, I was waiting for him in his office after work. His desk was huge and piled with documents, but in the corner sat a photo frame.
Don't touch. That's my lucky charm.
Lucky charm?
Something that reminds me why I came back to work.
Lucas?
Yeah?
When you woke up after hearing me say I'll sell your company, was it because you were actually scared I would, or because...
Because you said like you meant it. I suddenly realized this person's not joking. She'd actually do it. If I didn't wake up, she'd undo everything I'd worked 3 years for. That would have been a shame. And besides, when you said it, you leaned in close. I could feel the warmth of your breath. That was the first time in 3 years I felt like someone was waiting for me, right there. So I thought, might as well wake up.
And after you woke up, was it worth it?
Every single day.
Spring came. The estate gardens burst into tulips, white, pink, red, stretching in waves like an overturned pallet. Lucas' leg had fully healed. He could run, hike, do anything a normal person could. One afternoon, he grabbed my hand and pulled me out to the garden, saying he had something to show me. I followed him to the middle of the lawn, and there it was, a violin. What's this?
Your new violin. Your old one got sold. I looked up the model and had a lutherie make a replica. The tone should be close to your original.
How did you know what model my violin was?
You mentioned it once while reading a script. You said it was the only valuable thing your mom left you. You sold it to pay off your ex-boyfriend's debt. You regretted it.
You remembered that.
I remember every important thing you've ever told me.
I stood there. The spring wind carried the scent of earth and flowers through the turnip fields. I wanted to something, but my throat was tight.
Try it.
I played, and he listened beside me. The wind swayed the turnips gently, as the last note faded into the air. I opened my eyes and saw him standing in the spring light, looking at me like I was something precious he'd found and almost lost. Malcolm Reed received a lighter sentence to testify against Simon Blake, but he still had to serve time. Simon Blake was sentenced to 12 years with additional financial crime charges. His actual time would be over 30. On the day of the verdict, Lucas didn't go to court.
He took 3 years from me. I took 30 from him. We're even.
After the case was fully closed, Rain Group stock hit a 3-year high. Lucas gave a speech at the board meeting about how Rain Group had turned its most difficult page. I wasn't there, but Helen told me about it.
When he said that, he looked at the chair you used to sit in.
That chair's empty now. He said, when my wife sat there, I felt more secure than any data could make me.
What brings you here?
Just came to sit in my spot.
That spot is always yours. Come and go as you please.
What if I go too far and don't come back?
Then I'd go find you.
Would you find me?
I would, because I've got good ears. As long as you're reading a script, I can follow the sound and find you.
That day we sat in the study without another word. The sun set outside and the room grew dim, but neither of us got up to turn on the lights. We just sat there in the growing twilight, like two people who'd already found each other and no longer needed to check where they were. I finally finished a complete script, not one that would get rejected, a story I was actually proud of. About a woman who married a coma patient for money and then discovered there was more to it than the money. I typed the last page, leaned back, and let out a long breath.
Finished?
Finished.
What's the ending?
They end up together.
Cliché?
So what if it's cliché? I like it, and that's what matters.
I want to read it from the beginning.
Now?
Now. It's good.
Really?
Really. Especially that line where the Yurduan says to the man, "You're a coma patient and you're still this heavy." That's painfully real.
Because I complain about you in my head every day.
You're the one who writes scripts, but you've lived a better story than any script.
Then what's this story called?
It's called I Married a Coma CEO.
That's so corny.
So what if it's corny? You like it, and that's what matters.
We decided to have a proper ceremony, not because we legally needed to, but as a ritual to show to each other and everyone around us that this relationship wasn't a contract anymore. It was a choice. The wedding was set for early June, on the estate lawn. The tulips had faded, replaced by sweeping clusters of white hydrangeas. The guest list was small: Helen, Martha, Giovanni, Mrs. Rain, Mr. Vincent, and a few close friends. No press, no cameras, just the early summer breeze and endless white flowers. I wore a simple white dress, no veil. Lucas wore a crame suit. I'd gone with him to pick it out. Clean, no cuffs.
This time, are you both here willingly?
Yes. No vow cards, no long speeches. We exchanged new rings. I gave him a platinum band inscribed with "woke up." He gave me the matching one, inscribed "arrived."
The ring I gave you before fit perfectly. This one fits perfectly too.
When did you measure the second time?
Last time you fell asleep. Measured again, in case you gained weight.
I did not gain weight.
No, you didn't. You're just right.
We kissed under the flower arch, and Helen let out a whistle. Martha brought out champagne. Giovanni started playing guitar. The sun was perfect that day, bouncing off the white hydrangeas until everything gleamed. I held Luca's hand and thought, if scripts could have perfect endings, this was probably it.